Welcome, Jennifer Elementary parents and students. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the science fair process for this year, school year 22-23. Most of it's exactly the same as it has been in the past, with minor differences. So the entry form this year is going to be due no later than October 27th. It should be a Thursday. Um, Honestly, I'm going to be flexible with that because of some of the hiccups we've had in the building, getting copies and also going digital this year with it. So uh, if you need more time, feel free to reach out to me and we'll work that out. All you need to do is get your parents' permission, so that would be your permission for your students, and also a question to answer. We're going to go over how to get a good question in a little bit, but overall it's very easy and should not cause any issues whatsoever. Of what you can't do. So these are some big no-nos that either are explicitly not allowed or have so many hoops to jump through that are really difficult to do and not going to be worth your students' time and efforts. The first thing is no vertebrates. So that's any animal with a backbone. You kind of see a bunch of pictures here. Obviously, there's no dinosaurs around right now, but that even if you're experimenting on a goldfish or your dog or anything like that, we're not allowed to experiment on anything with a vertebrae. That's a backbone. And the paperwork for that is just, it's too extensive to really make it worth anyone else's time. Are you allowed to experiment on invertebrates? Yes, I discourage it because I don't personally see what elementary students are going to gain from experimenting on, say, crickets. What they're going to gain from experimenting on crickets that would be worth the potential treatment of the crickets. It's a personal thing. I'm not going to say you can't do it. I'm just going to strongly discourage it. The next thing is no cultures. Now, obviously, we're not talking about cultures like with human cultures. We're talking about cultures like growing fungus or mold. The reason for that is it's just dangerous. You don't really know what you are growing, so we are not doing that in an elementary setting. And that's kind of this picture down here. No illegal substances, just kind of understood. If you're not allowed to have it in school, you can't be using it at home. And that's actually going to include firearms and things like that. Now, I always have the question, well, can we use a knife if we need to cut things? Because you can't have a knife in school. Of course you can use a knife with parent support. But getting to the drugs, alcohol, that includes experiments with, say, Tylenol or things like that. That's still going to technically be a drug. So these are kind of just the basics things. No vertebrates, no cultures, which is going to be fungus and molds, no illegal substances, and nothing that's allowed that isn't allowed in school. So here's just a quick video, and I'm going to jump through a couple times. This is actually a really nice experiment. There's 7 burgers that they put in different jars from different restaurants, and then it goes through and shows how they change over 30 days. So while in class, I always ask the kids, are we allowed to do this experiment? And I point out how nice it is. All of them are in the same jars. They're all set in what we assume to be the same conditions. They're all 30 days. You know, this is they have nice, consistent rules for everything that's being happened. And so the kids inevitably say, yeah, we can do this. This is great. But if you think about our rules, we're not allowed to have cultures. And like it or not, this is really what you're doing here is you're culturing these burgers to grow mold. So can we do this experiment? No, you cannot see what happens when things end up molding. All right, so where can you find a good question? My personal favorite is going to be the sciencebuddies.org. Any one of these 4 is fine. I really like Science Buddies because they have a questionnaire that you can do, and the questionnaire will let you sit with your students or your students sitting by themselves to answer some questions. In order to get there, you're just going to come to the link I have, Science Projects, and then it's Topic Selection Wizard. So it's Science Projects, Topic Selection Wizard. And you're just going to get ideas. So that's this green button here. And then answer it. I'm going to pretend that I'm a student taking it for myself. Hopefully your project's due in more than a month because it's not going to be due until December. Choose the grade level that you're in. We're going to just say a fourth grader, and I can pick any area. I am not limiting the area they can do. So once you do that, you go through and you answer these questions. Mine are clearly auto-filled from a previous time that I've done this. I hit continue. And then it's going to give me some great recommendations. They have make your own markers, growing rock candy, electric Play-Doh. So there's all different things. And the great thing about Science Buddies is when I click it, it shows if it's beginner hard. So this is beginner level 3. It's not as easy as beginner level 2, but it's there. Also, when I go into it, it's going to tell me about how long it should take and then how much it's going to end up costing. So it gives you all of these ideas before you go any farther. We're going to come back to this page in a second because I want to show you the other great things about this. But all of these sites have different ways to do that. So there's also engineering that you're allowed to do. Think of a real world problem and well, think of a problem. The real world ones are always going to be the most beneficial to your students and actually do the best in the competition. A few years ago at this point, before COVID, we had a student decide, their question was, why can't you use salt water to put out forest fires? Because there's lots of water out there, but is salt water going to be good or bad to putting out forest fires? And as they were doing their experiments, they kind of discovered that, well, salt water will end up killing the plants, so they would kind of kill the forest forever. I think they placed second place overall in the county for that project. So it was a really impressive project. They did a nice job with it. Always make sure you do research. You're going to make sure that you do reliable research. That is not going to be Google. We are not doing Google. So what's already out there? What are the pros and cons of the problem? And then you want to kind of get your own ideas with it. Engineering is a very open-ended way to do this. So the sky's the limit for it. That's really just up to you and your kid. So all of our due dates this year are going to be Thursdays, and I'm really flexible with most of the due dates. I'm going to be flexible with the topic. I'm going to be flexible with the purpose and prediction, the materials, the results, the conclusion. And the only one I'm not going to be flexible with is this project's due. The reason is I have to have those in on December 15th so that I can get teachers in the building to judge them and get everything organized for our science fair that's going to be on the 20th. You're welcome to come in. It's going to be open to the public. It'll be in my room at Jennifer Elementary on Tuesday, December 20th from 4:30 to 5:30. And then the last thing you're going to have to do with your project is to create an actual board. And they kind of have these dimensions here that are recommended, 24 by 18 inches. I'm not going to be too particular about it, and I don't think the HITS Expo, which is the countywide science fair, is going to be too particular about it either. But if you are first, second, third, or fourth here, I can send you to the county science fair also. And that's a really cool thing for our students. The last thing I wanted to show you back on Science Buddies, and I'm sorry, I know I've been talking a lot and quickly, is when we go through here, they already give you some of the research. They already let you see what's happening. They even give you some idea pictures about it. And then they also end up giving you what you will need. So they have your materials, and then they will give you your procedure. You might have to change some of these, but all in all, this Science Buddy really makes these science fair projects really simple and easy to do. So, as I said, I recommend sciencebuddies.org, which is going to be our link back here. It's this link right here, sciencebuddies.org, but it's also on the online form. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at Shanbarger, SHANBARGER @ccboe.com, and I'd be happy to answer.